Hello, in this video I'm going to give you 5 driving anxiety tips to help you overcome your fear of driving and get back on the road. So let's get straight into it. Number 5 is false futures. People with anxiety have the problem because what you're doing is you're projecting into a future that doesn't exist. You're imagining scenarios that are most likely never going to happen. So, for example, when I work with people who have a fear of driving over bridges, they'll very often talk about how they have a fear of driving off the side of the bridge. And I will say to them, well, does that ever happen? Have you ever actually driven off the side of a bridge? And they'll say, no. So what you're doing is you're projecting a false future. You're imagining something which is most likely never going to happen. And that's what anxiety is. Depression is when you look back into the past, which you can't change. No one can change the past, so it is pointless looking back. And anxiety is the opposite, when you look forwards and you're projecting things into a future. And the reason you feel anxious when you drive can sometimes be because you're imagining these things happening and your body produces the physical symptoms. So you think, well, I'm going to drive off a bridge. So your body then starts fighting back, filling you with adrenaline and making you feel terrible to stop you driving. Now, this is number 5 because it's actually the least likely thing to happen. If doing that solves your problem, you've only got a very light problem. And this is where things like CBT will fail because they focus purely on things like false futures, which is quite rarely ever actually the problem. So let's move on to number 4, finding the real cause of the problem. As I've said in my 100 plus videos about driving anxiety has nothing to do with driving. If you are doing anything to do with driving, such as going out on driving lessons, going out with a friend or a partner or anyone else, if you think you're going to just keep driving and that something to do with driving will fix it, you're wrong, because driving is the symptom. Your driving anxiety is merely how another problem is showing itself. So it's nothing to do with driving whatsoever. Even if we go back to the last point about false futures, it's actually not the driving that's the issue. The reason you're projecting a false future, that is the issue. So, for example, I've worked with people whose driving anxiety has come down to a lack of confidence. So them thinking they're going to crash off a bridge is nothing to do with driving. It's a general lack of confidence, which comes from a childhood issue. And when we work on those things, it's like a domino effect. You knock out the childhood issue and it knocks over all the other dominoes, and your fear of driving goes, your fear of flying goes, and your whole life changes because you found what the real cause of the problem is. And this is where so many therapies fail, because they simply don't find the real cause of the problem and they work on the symptom. Speaking of which, let's move on to number 3. Forget exposure therapy. Exposure therapy does nothing to help with the fear of driving. This is just something that people who don't know what they're talking about will tell you to do because it's their guess at the solution. Now think about what we said in the last point. We said find the real cause of the problem. There is only one person in the world who knows what that is, and that's you. So when these people come along and say, I'm an expert and all you need to do is keep driving and just push through and keep going, and I've done a whole playlist about exposure therapy, and I've got a whole page on my website explaining in detail why it fails. So check out that page on my website and check out the playlist on there for more information. But I can guarantee you, if you've been told by anyone to just keep pushing through, keep going, keep doing it, and I've had people say that their doctor has told them it doesn't matter how scared you get, if you're crying, if you're panicking, if you're shaking and sweating like mad, and if you're swerving all over the road, even if you're causing chaos to everyone around you and causing crashes, you've got to just keep going. Idiot. You do not put people into that situation. And again, the reason I know this is because not only do I work online as a professional therapist, helping people to overcome their fear of driving, I've also been one of the UK's best known driving instructors for over 20 years, and telling people that are scared when they're driving to just go out and drive is stupid, irresponsible and dangerous. It's from people who don't have a clue what they're talking about, and they're just trying to think of a solution because they don't actually know what they're doing. No therapist can give you a solution. And this leads us on to point number 2. Work with it, not against it. I made a video on this recently, which I'll link to on the screen now. But if you fight a fear of driving or a fear of anything, you will get nowhere, because the fear is a symptom. It's not something you've got to beat, fight, conquer or destroy. You don't fight it. Have you ever noticed how when you fight it, it just gets worse? As with the last point about exposure therapy, people sometimes say to me, well, I did exposure therapy and it worked. It didn't work. You didn't get rid of the problem. You've just pushed it elsewhere, because your mind is giving you these feelings for a reason. And if you don't listen to it, it will just keep making it worse and worse and worse until you do. So there's no point fighting it. You need to work with your problem, not against it. There is no point suppressing it or trying to fight it, beat it and conquer it. You need to find out what it truly is and work with it. I'm going to move on to the number 1 tip. I can promise you that if you want to overcome the fear of driving, this is the single most important thing you can do. My best tip for overcoming driving anxiety is to take therapy. Stop thinking that you are going to fix this on your own by lying down and listening to a YouTube video and it's all going to magically go. It is not that simple. And you know, one of the most difficult things to do if you've got a problem is to accept you have a problem. This is why when you get these support groups for alcoholics, the first thing they make you do is to stand up and say, my name is X and I'm an alcoholic. Because taking that step and admitting you've got a problem is huge. And I've had people who have come to me for a consultation, and as soon as we start talking, they burst out in tears because it's the first time they've ever, the modern way of saying this is, owned the problem. You've probably heard that saying on TV shows, own it, own the problem. That's because that's what you need to do. Not exposure therapy, not just going out and forcing yourself into fighting against it. You've got to own it. You've got to take responsibility. So I want to ask anyone who's watching this video, are you brave enough to go into the comments, type something like, I need help, or I have a fear of driving? Because a lot of people watch my videos week after week after week, and they're just waiting for the magic solution. They're waiting for something to happen. And people say this to me, they say, I've been watching now for a couple of years, and I keep hoping that the next video is going to fix it for me. You are only going to get rid of this if you take professional therapy. Get the help you need. Stop making excuses. And if you want to get over this problem, reach out to me and get the help you need. Check out these other videos on the screen now for more help with your driving anxiety and understanding what it truly is. And if you want to work with me one-to-one online, contact me through my website, firstdrive.com, not through the comments on here. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you again soon for more videos.